Hey guys, I'm Matt Lighty, and this is going to be a short-ish video just going over what it's like process-wise to like decide what to re-roll in solo self-found based on what you find. That's might be a little confusing, but I'll give you an example, and this is one that I'm applying, and this process might help you. So, after the first couple days of League, I had a couple Awakened Gems, and these Awakened Gems kind of thematically fit together, or they could at least for certain builds. So I use this to like narrow down when I want to reroll. So I had Awakened Deadly Ailments. Oh, my phone's ringing. Be right back. Okay, sorry about that. As I was. So these are the 4 Awakened Gems I got for like the first couple days of playing. So what I do is if I get like, you know, a couple Awakened Gems that were all like thematically together, because I got these plus Awakened Fire Pen. And it's like, Awakened Fire Pen does not fit into any of these remotely, so I said, forget you, let's focus on this. So here's the, you know, P.O.Ninja, P.O.E.Ninja, Path of Ninja, and this is what we're going to look at for builds. So we had Awakened, what was it, Swift Affliction, and then we're just going to kind of go through the list, and then see what pops up. I put in my 4 Awakened Gems, because these are like annoying to get in full self one. Although these are more common ones, it's still like they have a lot of power behind them, so it's cool to have that. And we see that there's a bunch of gladiators playing bleed bow builds. All right, and that's totally cool, and that's a good idea in this scenario. Like the key uniques to be things like Rislothas, and then a big bleed bow. Well, if we check what I have this league so far, you know, under the belt section, oh, I have a Rislothas, so like that's on the table, and because we're Necropolis, I could make a big bleed bow. I don't have one at the moment, but I could make one. So it's like, but like say, oh, I don't want to play with a bow, right? Because I did that before. So I click on the bows, click the little no sign. Now look for these guys. It's like, oh, interesting. So what do we have here? So this guy's playing a spectral shield throw bleed using all of the Awakened Gems I have, plus things like Relicash Boots, Alyssa's Delight. He's got a Strangle Gasp now. He's got really fancy stuff. But like, could I emulate this? Like, yeah, probably I could. So let's see if I have like these sort of things. And then, oh, look, I check, and then ignore the fact that this tab says bleed. And I have a lot of these things the guy was using, including Vuln and Hit, Shadow, and Dust. He has Vuln and Frenzy Charge because he used charge stacking. He's got, you know, all the charge stuff, all the fancy things. And it's like, oh, I could do a lot of this. I could do a lot of this sort of stuff too. So that leads us to say, all right, I've decided what I want to do. So then I start to emulate it. So here I am at level 58 in the leveling process, having a great time, starting to work on, you know, what I need for the build. You know, and I get the gist of what he's doing. He's using Frenzy Charge Rings. Well, I don't have those at the moment, and Strangle Gas, but are those things I could farm out? Like 100%. Everything else is definitely attainable or can be replaced. For example, he's using gloves really just for the fact that they have Frenzy, Vuln, and our you know, Rampage gloves, and then I have Rampage through these, so this also works for just giving me Rampage. Granted, when Unholy Might procs, my damage will plummet, but you know, maybe try to get Vuln somewhere else just to save myself. Alright, nope, denied. Anywho, I see what he's using, and we try to adapt it or emulate it to like what I want to do. So maybe this guy leveled with this, so we'll check like day 1. And he's not there. Alright, day 2. Not there. Day 3. There he is. Okay. So at least by day 3 he had some stuff going on. He didn't have a Sublime Vision with his Gray set up, but he did have a Calandras and then some of the fancy stuff. No Strangle Gasp, so it gets me an idea of like where I can adapt to. Does have a +1 Frenzy Shield, which I obviously don't have at the moment. Or things like that. But again, I want to focus on mechanics that can give me frenzy charges. So synth bases, one of the best ones is Ritual, and he's running an Elegant Hubris over here, which is really cool. Probably just for a bunch of fizz in this area. So I decide now, alright, we want to do Ritual S like his whatever. So we have all our Atlas trees, and we could do something like a Ritual tree like this, or a Ritual tree and start to add in some of that Blight, because we noticed that he has a Strangle Gasp, so maybe I could start working towards Blight while working towards what he's doing. So Ritual and Blight, they're on the same side of the tree too. One of the beauties of having all these fucking Atlas trees is you could like mess around with different things and not feel like you have to redo everything. Okay, so I got my Atlas tree for Ritual and Blight. So I'm all good on that. I could use Ritual to farm out synth bases that the guy has for things like +1 Frenzy Shields or +1 Rings more realistically, so I'm probably going to be using the mechanic to craft a shield. And I have Ritual and I have Blight now to find a Stranglegath, which we know he transitions into. So, and now it's like, alright, so I gotta get an idea of what I want to craft for, you know, what he has. But like, the big thing for this build is going to be the shield, because that's where a lot of the damage comes from, is like a big Necropolis shield. He's got a Frenzy Charge one, obviously that's like extravagant, so let's just say I won't be able to get a Frenzy Charge one at a specific base, because trade is too difficult, but I definitely can get any Frenzy Charge ring throughout the course of the league if I were to get lucky in that regard, and have multiple helmets of Worm Signs and Usurpers to Val to get specific Val Implicits, maybe not double, but at least one of the Val Implicits I can work towards. So that's really obtainable in that regard. Alright, so say I want to make a shield. What does it come to next? Well, we're in Necropolis League, so Craft of Exile is where life begins. They have just added ways to do Necropolis crafting, so we're doing an offhand, we're doing a strength shield, and we're using Graveyard to craft it. Now, what do I want in a strength shield? Well, for special shield throw, I want armor, armor, and armor. Nice and easy. So we're going to do just armor, armor, and armor. I'll also put in this armor slot because I don't know if I necessarily want the hybrid or the flat. I would probably be okay with either. So it just makes my odds a little bit better by putting one in each. I can just click Compute Best Selection, and it's going to tell me exactly the optimal amount of whatever to have. And it's probably going to be just a bunch of fucking defense and a bunch of fucking modified tier, because that's how this mechanic works, it seems. Let's see how right I am. And 58 defense, 20 modified tier. Cool. Alright, so basically once you get to 20 modified tier, it's just nothing but defense and then a couple of scarcers, and that's the entirety of the craft. Now, what are the odds of crafting a perfect 3T1 shield with this method? It's a 1 in 3. Alright, so basically this isn't too hard to do, it's just going to take a bunch of time to get that many defenses. Now, if we were to take the same amount of defenses and reduce it by an amount, let's just say whatever amount, we could watch as my final calculation chance goes from a 3, oh, now it says 48, 4, 3. So if you have 1 in, it goes from a 1 to a 48 because the scaling goes up. Where does it stop? Go to the 3. Oh, at 3. It's unwholly necessary to do this many then. Yeah, 15 and 20 is a 1 in 4 for perfect. Okay, perfect. Keep that in mind. If it tier 2, it's even more likely. Either or, you get the gist of it. You can fiddle with this meter to see, like, 'cause again, it's give you some ridiculous number, like 20 of these and fucking 60 of these, but it doesn't have to be that much. You could use much less, and it gives you a very similar result. Or if I wanted an amount of resistances, if I were to take this off and increase the res amount, I would get an amount of resistances instead. So, good to fiddle with that. But yeah, now it's also good to know, like, what can I use in the interim? Well, this has about 2,000 armor, but you know what also has about 2,000 armor after scaling? Magna fucking Eclipses, which is free as shit. You get 2 Lunaris Temples. You already get 1 for progression. I've got a second one somewhere here. I think I have a Vix Lunaris, and there's another Twilight Temple. So I can make a Magna Eclipsis, and I can make a shield for free that's basically as much armor as the one the dude was using. So there's yeah, there's no shortage of ways you could fiddle and, like, you know, in SSF identify how to do this. You get the belt from Maven, the helm and the gloves are just drops. Relicash boots are the rare thing here. But that's, again, where you would look at people using Relicash boots, and maybe if I didn't have Relicash boots, this whole thing would change slightly. Or if I wanted to do bows again, the option of bows, there's, like, no shortage of bow builds that are existing here. So if I were to go to bows instead, there's tons of people playing bleed bow in a variety of ways. I could look at what they have and say, oh, I want to do I not want to farm in a Crystal King to use Ol's Uprising? Well, I can click on Ol's, then click on the no. I can do, oh, what do we got here? Boom, Lightning Coil, Mage Flood. All right, well, he's got a little bit of extravagant setup, so let's skip that guy. Oh, this is much more obtainable. So he's doing different searching at jewels with Umatal's Hunger, or Utulu's Hunger, and that's like a okay drop rate. Devotos is a pretty okay drop rate. And it's kind of a similar thing. You know, you're looking at what you have versus what you need, and then seeing if the components are, you know, easy to acquire or difficult to acquire. So for me, again, it's just doing this Spectral Shield Throw build, and then that's where I'm going to kind of focus my resources and then focus my grind a little bit, because I have a lot of the stuff, and it's yeah, it's just attainable, and it's I'm already mostly there. So it's a fun grind, I think, to go towards like specific higher end items, things like the the Strangle Gasp Amulet, or things like a Synth Ring or something like that, and find something worth grinding for, because it's, you know, you've already got the gems, you know, got most of the key uniques, then you just get to enjoy the grind versus having to work towards like beginning to have fun, and that part always sucks for me. So that's it. Hope this video was remotely helpful in my thought process and helping you in some way. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'm Matt Lighty, and have a good day.